Walgreens Expressions Challenge asks high school students to use their creativity to express how they feel about issues happening in their lives. Here to share more about the challenge is Aja Owens. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's nice to have you in studio. And let's talk about this. I mean, this is really cool, and we've got some examples of past submissions. But for those who aren't familiar with it, what is the Walgreens Expressions Challenge?
The Walgreens Expressions Challenge. So this is actually their 10th year of doing this challenge. So Walgreens did a study a couple of years back, well, more than 10 years back, just looking at the things that teenagers go through, a lot of like depression, the STD rate, and they noticed there was an alarming rate of high STD that came back within the teenage population. So they started this challenge as a way to have young people kind of talk about the topics that they deal with day to day in a creative way for an opportunity to win money. So the way that the competition works is 3 categories. There's visual art, creative writing, and media art. And students could submit in each of those categories. It's open to high school students, so you have to be between 14 and 18 years old. And you could submit in any of those categories for a chance to win $2,000. And it's $2,000 in each category. And if you win, your school also wins $500, and your teacher of choice wins $500.
Oh, that's really, really interesting. I have to say, I mean, we're going to go through some of this artwork. Now, these are past submissions, but really, really
intense.
Yeah, really intense. And I think in some of what seems to be the topic matters, and just even in terms of the artistry, is really, I mean, really kind of beautiful and exquisite in some of these. So let's take a look at this. This would be in the category then, so visual arts. So you're saying students can, and I think it's so interesting. I mean, do you recognize this one at all? Do you know if this one?
I don't remember that one. And so one of the things too, this competition is open to St. Louis and Chicago students.
Okay.
So some of these entries may be from Chicago students as well as St. Louis. But I was a judge in previous years, so I do remember kind of looking at different entries, whether it was like creative writing, poetry, or visual art, as you see. I do remember that piece, I believe. But, you know, as you can see, the students are very creative in how they address different topics like cyberbullying, abuse.
Yeah, I mean, let's stay on this one for a minute even. I mean,
eating disorders, you know, different things like that. So you can take a piece like that, and again, you can submit in different categories. So you may submit that under visual art, but then also write a poem about what that piece means to you.
Okay.
So, and that's what a lot of times the students will do. We had one student to submit in all 3 categories. He wrote a rap about growing up in his neighborhood. He created his album cover, put that under visual art, and then had someone to film him, you know, reciting the rap.
Really?
So he did media art, visual art, and creative writing because he wrote the rap out as well.
Right. I want to actually go back, if it's okay, to the one we were looking at before, because we were looking at this too before we started the segment, and you can see even in the words. What's so interesting to me is, like, with high school students, is just how on point they are in articulating, but just in perhaps different ways, what it is that they're experiencing. Because even here, with what, you know, the figure is, it seems to be sort of vomiting out, but the words that they specifically have. I mean, this is really interesting stuff, and this is open to students across the board, like whether you're in school in St. Louis City, St. Louis County, just in the St. Louis metropolitan area.
St. Louis, and even East St. Louis as well, and St. Charles. So any of those areas that kind of are, like, you know, pretty close to St. Louis, so they're definitely welcome to open them too. And I also wanted to just add as well, you don't necessarily have to be in high school. You may be a part of a program like Big Brothers and, you know, the Matthew Dickies and things like that. So if you win, then that money will go to your organization and maybe your coach or your mentor.
Oh, that's a really good point to make. And then is all of this done on the website? Actually, do you submit? How does it actually work?
Yeah, so whenever you have your entries and you're ready to submit, you go to www.expressionschallenge.com, and then you just upload your submission.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you would upload, if it's for the creative writing, you'd upload whatever that document, if it's a Word document.
Right.
If it's an artist.
JPEG. And then also you could submit as an individual or as a group. So some students may want to get together and do like a group, you know, entry. Now, of course, they would have to split the money, but you can do that. You can do individual or group.
Oh, that's a really good point. So you could do something as a group, like a group piece. Okay, well, we've got the information there for you on the screen. It's the Walgreens Expression Challenge. This is a chance for students grades 9 through 12 to win up to $2,000 by submitting their work, whether that's creative writing, media arts, or visual arts, and expressing, as Aja was talking about it, what's on their mind, what they're going through, what they're seeing. Really, really interesting stuff. You can find out more details at expressionschallenge.com. But don't go anywhere. We're going to have more. We're going to discuss more about the Walgreens Expressions Challenge right after this. Stay with us. There's some more STL Live.